Greetings and salutations, and here is another speed draw. This one is of the character Mistress Shenada, who is also a Vecratori, and she has lived for thousands of years. She is quite old and has seen a lot, and she originated in a different kingdom where her family and bloodline is part of royalty there. So, she now lives in Onyxidian Tower and is the head chef there. So she works in the kitchen as well. She pretty much directs it because, as when Icarus first meets her, he notices that her apron is completely clean, pristine white, like she hasn't done anything at all in the kitchen anyway. So, and yeah, like usual, we have the poor man's sketch to begin with, just mostly for the tail shape and just the stature. And so I'm looking at my own hand to try and get these knuckles. I always like to use my own hands for the reference, And she actually has this hand that I'm working on. It's got the little circle around the top, but I eventually get rid of that. And she has an iron fist, and I'm not gonna spoil how that happened, but it's definitely it seems to be alive, and it functions like her normal hand would, but it is big iron fist. So now I'm just cleaning up the lines, trying to trace over top my original drawing to keep it clean. I like to make it clean, and I decided I want to change those lines a little bit. I didn't like the way they were, and that front coil was in front of the back, so to make it look more it has depth to it. And there we go, cleaning that up. She's got this kind of like ridge over her at the very top of her body, and has a slight different coloration than the rest of her. It's more of a monotone and not like her scales are. And yeah, I don't like that hand at all, the way it turned out. So I'm just gonna copy it and change the angle of it. And I realized that in my initial drawing wasn't. Oh, who's that guy? Kind of look like a little mouth, but there we go. Now she's got her trusty rolling pin and her tasting spoon in the other hand, so she can sample all the things that the other, Vecratori create under her direction. For fun, I had a little belly button going there, but they don't have belly buttons at all. It's just just being a little silly. And yeah, she has something unique about her, and that's her neck. Her neck piece is unlike any other of the Vecratori. She's the only one who has that. And, I decide I don't like her left eye so much. The one that's on the right side. It's too thin, so I'll just kind of fix it up a little bit, change it, make it a little bigger, and yeah. I went and grabbed a real turkey, traced that out just for fun, because I thought that would be kind of interesting. Turkeys, their little goblets or giblets or whatever their neck pieces are kind of nasty. So I had fun using a realistic looking one, literally from a real one. And now I put the white background on so I can, clean up all the errors and the copy paste mistakes there, because when I was copying the hand I didn't grab all of it, so there's a little bit left over from the original. And as I tweak it, I like to keep it clean, because once you start having all the layers, it's hard to figure out where you've made your error, and where, if you're on the right layer, to actually clean it up. And I find a lot of times it ends up changing how it's being done. And I wanted her breast to pull the apron a little bit more than it was. Otherwise, too much would be shown. So there I tweak up the eye. And I didn't end up really doing a beauty makeup for her or anything like that. And trying out this this brush that's kind of unique little 3 scale with a bigger one in the middle. And for this one, I went smaller for the center and then wider on the outsides. She curves around, and now I'm just cleaning up the glaring errors of using that brush to just like gloss over, because any overlap just doesn't make sense. Like, you know, scales will overlap the next, but when it's the same kind of scale beside each other, it shouldn't be one on top of the next. And so I wanted to go with like a purplish blue for the background, and then just get reddish orange on top, and then her scales are kind of like outlined in the yellow. So, and I wanted to have kind of this, you know, stripe type pattern, and so that's what I did for that. And I just used my own custom brushes to do like the scale pattern. That's more of kind of like a splotchiness, and I just go over top of it and in multiple layers of varying colors to get that kind of feel that I like. And I wanted to still to retain that kind of randomness to it. And now I'm just coloring in the wood, and I realize that piece of it is missing. Here we go. She's got her nice apron on, and now I'm doing the scales for her whole body. And again with another custom brush, and some reason it didn't get that piece, so just leaves a little bit of clone stamp to get that done. Go over it again, more reddish tone, and then I decide I don't really like it, so I go in with the orange, and I kind of continue from the colors below in a different style though. Fill it up, and kind of want that close to the ridge to have more of a thickness to it, and around her belly, and that's kind of a darker area. And then I go over top with another over top color to kind of, you know, it was a yellow kind of green, and I'm going back in and continuing that stripe kind of pattern. And then I end up going over the whole thing with kind of like that cheesecloth, and I add a little bit of a drop shadow to kind of give it some more depth to it. And, you know, as you can see, now I'm going to color in her little, I call them giblets, is the name of the layer. And just use some pink color, and then slightly darker color, and then a slightly lighter color, and I just have to clean it up a little bit. And there we go. I'll just clean that up, and I decide to, you know, most aprons are like tied off, so I realized that I should tie that off. So I add the straps that lead to the back, and I didn't like how some of the areas, you know, when you're doing that random brush strokes for the scales, sometimes it leaves a little bit too like glaring whites, so I went back in and filled it up. And now I just whip over top with my shading layer. Away we go. And so for this one I use like a 25% or 35% opacity, so I can go over it like 4 different layers, and we get all the little pieces that I think should be shadowed. And her belly is, you know, quite large, so I add a decent amount of shading to that. And then of course the apron gets some, her hand and her knuckles, and her little giblets get some as well, and her breasts will have them. Everyone loves the snitties. And little folds in the arm where her elbow would be, so she's more heavy set, so it's a little thicker there. And shading on the spoon, and the spoon causes some where she's holding it over her body. And then that top ridge, I want it to have, they're trying to go in with a solid color, but the top ridge, I want it to have some depth to it. So, you know, you can see that it's a little bit thicker. So I do add the shadow there. And now I'm just doing the shadow of her main body, because that's in front of everything. So there we go, more main shading, cover it on in. I realize it should be on the other side. It makes more sense from where the light source is going to be coming from. Just so I don't draw outside the lines. The ants will help me out so I don't make a mistake. And there we go. And her apron will have a little bit. I tried a different style of more shading to the apron itself, you know, but I didn't like the way it looked, and it was also too different from the other style of characters who don't really wear the clothing, and so I decided just to keep it my own style. And so, but I'm always, you know, trying new techniques and testing things out and seeing what I like. And yeah, now we're going in with the highlights and areas that I believe would have some light to them. And there we go. It's almost done. And I decided for her I'm doing a different technique where I you know, I'm adding some more lighting to it. And then there we go. Her hand is almost done, and I try to give it a little metallic look. And then we go over, and I'm doing something different where I'm actually like lighting up her body with it, and I'm very close to being done. I really like it. Just cleaning up a little bit more. I didn't really like the eyebrows being glowing, so I put some glow on her forehead instead. And now I'm just adding a layer of some little varicose veins, because she is elderly, kind of overweight, and I thought that would add a nice little touch to it. And so I draw it in with a nice purple, give it a little red drop shadow, and then throw her on her background and finish up the lighting. And there we go. There you have it. We have Mistress Shenada. I hope you liked this video, and also you can watch me draw on Twitch as well as on my Facebook page, both under God Bahamut. So hope to see you around. Have a good one, and don't forget to like and subscribe.